My mom said they wanted to take a break from Christmas. I said okay until I saw photos of their house full of people, including my sister's boyfriend's fake daughters. I sent my dad a video of the $26,700 truck. I bought him with a note. I don't think you need it anymore. 73 minutes later, my dad knocked on my door with the boyfriend. Hey Reddit, longtime lurker, first-time poster. I need to share this story because honestly, I still can't believe it all actually happened. Throwaway account for obvious reasons, and I've changed some details to protect identities. Though honestly, after what they did, I don't know why I bother. Quick background. I 29 male, work as a diesel mechanic at a freight company, and I've been raising my 6-year-old nephew Tyler since his mom, my ex-girlfriend's sister, passed away in a car accident 2 years ago. It's been tough, but the kid's worth it. He calls me Uncle Mike even though technically I'm not blood related. But family is more than DNA, right? My family situation is complicated. Parents are your typical keeping up with the Joneses types who care more about appearances than actual relationships. My sister Brittany, 26F, has made a career out of dating older wealthy men. As for me, I'm the black sheep who chose wrenches over white collars, and they've never let me forget it. This all started December 17th, and it's been the wildest 2 months of my life. Buckle up because this is going to be a long one. I was underneath a Peterbilt truck, elbow deep in grease, trying to diagnose why this transmission was making sounds like a dying whale. My phone starts buzzing in my pocket, and I see it's my mom. Middle of a workday call from her usually means one thing. She's about to tell me everything wrong with my life choices. I slide out from under the truck, wipe my hands on my already filthy coveralls, and answer. Hey Ma, I'm at work. What's up? Michael, your father and I have been discussing Christmas arrangements. That tone. You know the one. We need to have a serious conversation about your failures tone that every disappointment of a child recognizes instantly. Okay, I said, already feeling my stomach drop. We think it would be best if you didn't come this year. We're planning a more refined celebration. You understand, don't you? Refined. That word hit like a wrench to the gut. That's parent speak for, we're embarrassed of you and don't want you around our fancy friends. What about Tyler? I managed to ask. He's been making presents for you guys at school. He's really excited about showing you his dinosaur collection. There was a pause. The kind of pause that tells you someone's about to say something they've rehearsed. Perhaps after the holidays, when things are less hectic. You know how overwhelming children can be at formal gatherings. Formal gatherings? It's Christmas dinner, not a black tie gala. But I didn't say that. Instead, I just stood there in that cold garage, surrounded by the smell of motor oil and disappointment, trying to process that my parents had just uninvited their only grandchild from Christmas because we weren't good enough for their refined celebration. I see, was all I managed to say. I knew you'd understand. We'll mail Tyler's presents. Have a nice holiday, Michael. She hung up before I could respond. Just like that. No discussion, no apology, just a casual dismissal of our existence. My buddy Jake, that's what we'll call him since I know he browses this sub, was working on a Kenworth in the next bay. He must have seen my face because he walked over immediately. Dude, you okay? You look like someone just told you your dog died. My parents just uninvited me and Tyler from Christmas. Said they want a more refined celebration. Jake dropped his wrench. It clanged on the concrete floor, echoing through the garage. They did what now? I explained the conversation. Jake's face went through about 5 different expressions, finally settling on disgusted. Bro, that's messed up. Tyler's been talking about Christmas at your parents' house for weeks? What are you going to tell him? That was the kicker. Tyler had been so excited. He'd made them both cards at school. You know, those construction paper masterpieces with too much glitter and crooked letters. He'd been practicing saying Merry Christmas clearly because he has a mild speech delay and wanted to surprise his Nana. The kid even picked out special socks to wear because Grandpa likes when people dress nice. But here's where this story takes its first turn. See, I'd been planning something for 4 months. My dad had been complaining about his 2008 F-150 for over a year. The transmission was slipping, rust was eating through the bed, and it sounded like a coffee can full of bolts when it started. But he was too proud and too cheap to buy a new one. So I'd been saving. Every overtime shift, every side job rebuilding transmissions in Jake's garage, every penny I could scrape together. I found this beautiful 2015 F-150 XLT, crew cab, 5.0 V8, only 52,000 miles. The owner was asking $28,500, but I talked him down to $26,700 cash. $26,700. That was everything I had saved, plus what I made doing extra work. I ate ramen for 2 months straight. I fixed other people's cars until 2 a.m. after working 10-hour shifts. I even sold my Xbox and my good tools. Also, I could see my dad's face on Christmas morning when I surprised him with that truck. The truck was sitting under a tarp in Jake's lot, waiting. I had this whole plan worked out. Tyler and I would drive over in it Christmas morning. I'd park it in their driveway with a big red bow on the hood. Tyler would run up to the door with a box containing the keys while I waited outside. It was going to be perfect. Finally, I was going to do something that would make them proud of me. Jake knew about the truck. He'd helped me check it over, made sure it was mechanically sound. Now he was looking at me with this expression I'd never seen before. Mike, the truck. What are you going to do with the truck? I looked at him, then looked at my phone, then back at him. I honestly don't know, man. That night was brutal. I picked Tyler up from daycare, and he immediately started chattering about Christmas. Uncle Mike, can I wear my Superman cape to Grandma's? Do you think Grandpa will like the dinosaur I drew for him? It's a T-Rex, but I made it smile so it's not scary. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that his grandparents don't want him around? That he's not refined enough for their Christmas dinner? You don't. You lie. Hey, buddy, change of plans. Grandma and Grandpa are sick with the flu. We don't want to catch their germs, right? His little face fell. But I made them presents. We'll give them the presents when they feel better, okay? And guess what? This means we can have Christmas pizza and watch all the superhero movies we want. He perked up a bit at that, but I could tell he was disappointed. Kids understand more than we give them credit for. He knew something was wrong, even if he didn't know what. After he went to bed, I sat at my kitchen table, the wobbly one I got from a garage sale, and stared at my phone. Part of me wanted to call them back, to beg, to promise we'd be quiet and clean and refined. But a bigger part of me was angry. No, not angry, furious. I'd spent 29 years trying to make them proud. 29 years of being compared to my cousins who went to college. 29 years of backhanded comments about my job, my apartment, my choices. And despite all that, I was still trying. Still saving money I didn't have to buy my dad a truck he didn't deserve. Jake texted me around 10 p.m. You good? Not really, I replied. The truck? Still thinking. Whatever you decide, I got your back. That's the thing about friends like Jake. They don't need to understand everything. They just need to understand you. Christmas morning started at 5:47 a.m. with Tyler launching himself onto my bed like a tiny missile. Uncle Mike! Santa came! Santa came! Despite everything, his excitement was infectious. We opened presents. Nothing fancy, but I'd made sure he had what he wanted. A Nerf gun arsenal that would make a small army jealous, some new dinosaur figures, and an art set because the kid loves to draw. I made pancakes shaped like dinosaurs. They looked more like abstract blobs, but Tyler declared them perfect. We built a fort out of couch cushions. We had Nerf battles where I died dramatically on the living room floor, while he stood victorious above me. It was actually a pretty good morning. Around 1 p.m., while Tyler was in a food coma watching Paw Patrol, I made the mistake of opening Instagram. Just a quick scroll, I thought. See what everyone else was up to. The first thing in my feed was my sister Brittany's story, and that's when everything went sideways. First slide, my parents' house, decorated to the nines. Not just normal Christmas decorations, we're talking professional level stuff. Lights synchronized to music, those fancy projection things on the garage, the works. Second slide, the dining room table, set for, I counted 8 people? What happened to wanting a quiet, small Christmas? Third slide made my blood boil. A full family photo in front of the tree. My parents, Brittany, and some guy who looked like he'd stepped out of a Viagra commercial. Gray hair, probably mid-50s, wearing a Rolex that cost more than I make in 3 months. But that wasn't even the worst part. There were 2 other women in the photo. Young, blonde, probably mid-20s. The caption read, Family Christmas with David and his daughters. Blessed. Daughters? I looked closer. These daughters were hanging off this David guy's arms in a way that was definitely not daughterly. Their dresses were designer, their jewelry was expensive, and their smiles were the practiced kind you see in certain establishments. But Brittany wasn't done. The next few slides showed everyone in matching Christmas sweaters. My dad, who once said wearing anything but flannel made you soft, was wearing a sweater with reindeer on it. Brittany opening a Tiffany box while the daughters squealed in the background. My mom serving prime rib and lobster. We always had ham growing up. Regular grocery store ham. My dad and this David guy, arms around each other like old friends, holding expensive scotch in front of the fireplace. The last photo broke me. It was my dad, smiling. Not his usual forced smile for pictures, but genuinely happy, proud even. Looking at this David guy like he was the son he'd always wanted. I screenshot everything and sent it to Jake with one text. You seeing this? His response was immediate. Is that your dad in a sweater? Also, those are definitely not that dude's daughters. My thoughts exactly. What kind of daughters wear platform heels to Christmas dinner? The kind you pay by the hour. Dude, what are you gonna do? I looked over at Tyler, still mesmerized by cartoon dogs, then at my phone showing my family's refined Christmas, then thought about the $26,700 truck sitting in Jake's lot. I'm gonna send them a Christmas present they'll never forget. I bundled Tyler up and we drove to Jake's garage. He met us there, even though it was Christmas, and he should have been with his own family. That's a real friend right there. The F-150 sat under its tarp like a sleeping giant. I pulled the cover off and there it was. Gleaming silver, perfect condition, everything my dad had been wanting. Tyler's eyes went wide. Whoa, Uncle Mike, whose truck is that? It was supposed to be Grandpa's, I said. It's so cool. He's gonna love it. Jake and I exchanged looks over Tyler's head. Then I got an idea. Hey buddy, wanna help me make a video? We spent the next half hour filming. Tyler pretended to be a TV host showing off the truck while I played cameraman. We got every angle. The interior with its pristine leather, the bed with the spray and liner, the engine bay clean enough to eat off of. I even started it up and revved it a few times. That V8 rumbling like thunder. Tyler was in full presenter mode. And here we have the super cool wheels. Uncle Mike says they're called methods, but they don't look like math to me. When we were done, I had a 5-minute video showcasing every detail of the truck. Then I added a simple text overlay at the end. Merry Christmas, Dad. Was going to surprise you with this, but since I'm not refined enough for family dinner, guess I'll keep it. Thanks for showing me where Tyler and I stand. I sent it to my dad's phone. Then I blocked his number. Why did you send Grandpa the video if he's sick? Tyler asked. Just showing him what he's missing while he gets better, I said. Jake ruffled Tyler's hair. Your uncle's got a good sense of humor, kid. We left the truck there and went to see the new Spider-Man movie. Tyler loved it, kept shooting imaginary webs at me the whole way home. For a few hours, I forgot about my family and their refined Christmas with David and his daughters. But I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Jake and I had a betting pool going. He said it would take them 2 hours to show up at my door. I said 90 minutes. We were both wrong. 73 minutes after I sent that video, someone started pounding on my apartment door. Not knocking, pounding, like they were trying to break it down. I looked through the peephole and had to suppress a laugh. My dad was there, red-faced and breathing heavy. But he wasn't alone. He'd brought David. This walking midlife crisis in boat shoes was at my door, at my apartment, looking like he had any right to be there. Tyler, go play in your room for a bit, okay? I called out. Okay, Uncle Mike. Can I play with my Nerf guns? Sure thing, buddy. I took my sweet time opening the door. Made myself a sandwich, checked my email, even did some push-ups. Petty? Absolutely. Satisfying? You bet. When I finally opened the door, my dad started immediately, not even a hello. That truck. Where is it? What truck? I asked, taking a bite of my sandwich. His eye did this twitchy thing it does when he's really mad. Don't play stupid, Michael. The F-150. The one in your video. Oh, that truck. The one I bought with money from my dead-end job? The one I saved for while living in this apartment you're so embarrassed of? That truck? David stepped forward then. Actually stepped forward like he was going to intimidate me. This guy wearing boat shoes. In December. In Michigan. Your father says you have something that belongs to him, David said in this patronizing tone, like he was talking to a child. And you are? I asked, even though I knew exactly who he was. David Hutchinson, Brittany's boyfriend. Oh, boyfriend? Is that what we're calling it? Tell me, David, how much did that Mercedes you bought her cost? Just curious what the going rate is these days. My dad jumped in before David could respond. That's enough. Look, if you bought that truck for me, then it's mine. You can't just take back a gift because your feelings are hurt. Gift? What gift? I said, finishing my sandwich. I bought myself a truck, with my own money, from my job that embarrasses you so much. You know that's not what I meant. Actually, that's exactly what you meant. Mom said you needed a refined Christmas. Well, nothing says refined like a diesel mechanic and his nephew showing up in a 2009 Camry with duct tape on the bumper, right? David pulled out his phone then, probably to check his stock portfolio or something. Perhaps we can resolve this like adults. What did you pay? $20,000? I'll write you a check right now and we can all move forward. The audacity of this guy. He really thought he could just throw money at any problem. $26,700, cash. 4 months of overtime, side jobs until 2 a.m., eating ramen noodles, and selling everything I didn't absolutely need. David didn't even blink. Fine, 26.7. I'll buy it for Richard. Richard. He was calling my dad Richard. Nobody calls him Richard except my mom when she's mad at him. Counteroffer, I said. How about you take your checkbook and shove it up your— Tyler! My dad suddenly yelled past me. Tyler, come see Grandpa. That's when I saw red. This man who had ignored Tyler for 2 years, who had just uninvited him from Christmas, was now trying to use him as leverage? Get off my property, both of you, now. Or what? David smirked. You'll call the police? I'm sure they'll be very interested in your story. No, I said, pulling out my phone. But they might be interested in why a 55-year-old man is pretending 2 adult entertainers are his daughters at Christmas dinner. The smirk vanished instantly. Yeah, I got eyes too, David. Those daughters of yours? I went to high school with one of them, Ashley Martinez. She works weekends at that gentleman's club downtown. Want me to call her? Ask about your father-daughter relationship? My dad went from red to purple. You're lying. Am I? Maybe I should swing by her work tonight. Buy her a drink. Ask her about that Tiffany necklace. I'm sure she earned it the hard way. They left without another word. Just 2 old men shuffling back to David's Porsche. Of course he drives a Porsche. With their tails between their legs. Jake called me 5 minutes later, laughing so hard he could barely talk. Bro, did you really go to school with one of them? Not even close, but they don't know that. You magnificent, devious genius. So what's next? Now? Now we wait. People like them don't take no for an answer. They'll escalate. You think they'd actually do something? I looked out my window at the parking lot, then at Tyler's room where I could hear him making explosion sounds with his toys. Oh, they'll do something. The question is what? I didn't have to wait long to find out. 3 days after Christmas, I woke up at 5 a.m. to get ready for work. Tyler was still asleep, and I was trying to be quiet as I gathered my stuff. Something felt off the moment I stepped outside. My Camry was sitting lower than usual, like it was tired or depressed. As I got closer, I saw why. All 4 tires slashed. Not just punctured, properly destroyed. Multiple cuts in each one. Someone had been angry. Really angry. But that wasn't all. Keyed into the driver's side door in jagged letters. Loser. I stood there in the freezing morning air, staring at my vandalized car. My transportation to work. My way to get Tyler to school. My lifeline. Destroyed because I wouldn't hand over a truck to people who didn't deserve it. Tyler came out while I was on the phone with Jake, his little backpack on, ready for school. Uncle Mike, what's wrong with our car? Someone played a really mean prank, buddy. He walked around the car, examining the damage with the seriousness only a 6-year-old can muster. Who would do this? I don't know, I lied. But Uncle Jake's coming to help us. Jake showed up in 15 minutes with his flatbed. Took one look at the damage and whistled low. They really did that? Your own family? Can't prove it, but yeah. The timing's pretty obvious. What are you gonna do? Fix it. File a police report. And then, I smiled. Then I'm gonna hit them where it really hurts. 4 new tires, $800. Fixing the paint, $400. That was January's rent money right there. But here's the thing about guys like me and Jake. We know everyone in the automotive world within a 50-mile radius, and word travels fast. While Jake was loading my car, I made some calls. First, to my friend at the DMV. Hey, remember that story I told you about my parents? Yeah, it gets worse. Then to the owner of the only good auto shop in my parents' bougie neighborhood. Tony, it's Mike Sullivan. Yeah, Richard's son. Listen, if my dad comes in with transmission problems, then to the service manager at the country club where David plays golf. You're not going to believe what I just found out about Mr. Hutchinson's daughters. By noon, half the automotive service industry in town knew the story. By evening, it had spread to the country club staff. Small towns, man. Everyone knows everyone, and gossip travels faster than a Ferrari on the Autobahn. But the real karma came from an unexpected source. Remember how I said I made up that story about knowing one of David's daughters? Well, Jake's girlfriend actually did know one of them. Turns out one of the girls in those Christmas photos was a dancer at that gentleman's club who went by Amber. 2 weeks after the tire incident, I get a Facebook message. Hey, are you Mike Sullivan? I think your sister's boyfriend is my client. This is awkward, but he's been telling people I'm his daughter and it's affecting my real job. Can we talk? I met her at a coffee shop downtown. She showed up looking nothing like the Christmas photos, Jeans, college sweatshirt, no makeup. Just a normal 20-something trying to make ends meet. So, she started, David's been my regular for about 8 months. Usually just wants to talk, tips well. But lately, he's been getting weird. Weird how? She pulled out her phone and showed me texts. David offering her $500 to pretend to be his daughter at family events. Her friend Crystal got the same offer. They thought it was just another rich guy with a weird fantasy. We figured it was harmless, you know? Show up, smile, pretend to be college students, get paid. But then he starts taking us to actual family dinners. Your mom was asking me about my classes, my major. It was so awkward. What did you tell her? He coached us. Said I was pre-med. Crystal was studying business. Your mom was so proud of David's successful daughters. Meanwhile, I barely graduated high school, and I'm taking night classes at community college. This was gold. Pure gold. Listen, I said. David owes you money? $3,000. He blocked my number when I wouldn't provide additional services. Now I can't work certain shifts because everyone thinks I'm some rich guy's daughter. It's costing me money. How would you like to get that money back and then some? Sunday, January 14th. The plan was simple. Controlled chaos. 8 a.m., cars and coffee at the old mall parking lot. Every gearhead in town shows up to these, including the rich guys who buy Corvettes and never drive them. I rolled up in the F-150, Jake following in his built Mustang for moral support. Parked that beautiful truck right in the main row where everyone would see it. Within minutes, I was surrounded by admirers. That's when my dad's golf buddy walked up. Beautiful truck, young man. Those aren't stock wheels, are they? Nah, upgraded to method race wheels. The factory ones were too refined for my taste. He caught the emphasis. Recognized me immediately. Michael? Richard's boy? He said you were, well, a loser with a dead-end job? Yeah, he says that a lot. Funny thing, though. This loser just dropped $27,000 cash on this truck. His eyes went wide. He knew my dad had been claiming poverty, saying he couldn't afford a new vehicle. By 10 a.m., half the country club had seen photos of the truck. My dad's phone was probably melting from all the texts. But that was just phase one. 11:30 a.m., Sunday brunch at Meadowbrook Country Club, where my parents go to pretend they're richer than they are. Amber and Crystal walked in dressed for their night job. Not trashy, just obvious. They sat 2 tables from my parents and ordered loudly. According to Jake's cousin who works there, it took exactly 4 minutes for someone to recognize them. The whispers started immediately. David's face went through several color changes. My mom looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Brittany was frantically scrolling her phone. Then Amber, the absolute legend, walked over to their table. Mr. David, fancy seeing you here. Thanks for last Tuesday. You really know how to treat a lady. Crystal joined in. Are these your friends? Hi. David's told us so much about you all. The entire restaurant was watching, forks suspended midway to mouths. The social death was swift and brutal. Well, we should get going, Amber said. Work tonight. You know how Sundays are. Busy, busy. See you Tuesday, David? They left. David left. Brittany left crying. My parents sat there for another hour pretending to eat while everyone stared and whispered. But we weren't done yet. Monday morning, my dad's truck finally died. The transmission he'd been nursing finally gave up right in the middle of morning rush hour. Had to be towed to the nearest shop, which happened to be my friend Tony's place. Tony called him with the diagnosis, full transmission rebuild, new catalytic converter, fix the rust. Total, $8,500. My dad nearly fainted, asked for a payment plan. Tony said sure, but we need a co-signer with good credit. Guess who my dad had to call? Monday, January 15th, 4:47 p.m. I was under a Freightliner doing a brake job when my phone started blowing up. Dad's number calling over and over. I let it ring. He called 5 times, then Mom, then Brittany from 3 different numbers. Finally, a text. Please, we need to talk. That night, after Tyler was asleep, I called back. Michael. Dad's voice sounded different. Defeated. Old. We need your help. With what? Don't play dumb. The truck. Tony wants $8,000. Says I need a co-signer. Sounds like a personal problem. I'm your father. Oh, now you remember that? Wasn't I too much of a loser to be your son at Christmas? Silence. Then quietly. I'm sorry. 2 words I'd never heard from Richard Sullivan in 29 years. Sorry for what exactly? Be specific. For Christmas. For what I said. For the tires. So you admit you slashed my tires? David said it would teach you a lesson. And you listened to him? You met this guy 3 months ago and you're taking his advice on teaching me lessons? Mom got on the phone. Michael, please. This has gone far enough. Brittany's devastated. Your father's truck is gone. Everyone at the club is talking. And, and we're sorry. Is that what you want to hear? What I want is for you to understand something. I've been raising Tyler for 2 years. 2 years. Not once have you acted like real grandparents. Not once have you been proud of me for stepping up when his mom died. All you see is failure because I work with my hands instead of wearing a suit. Dead silence on the other end. I work 60 hours a week. I rebuilt my life so Tyler wouldn't end up in foster care. I saved every penny to buy Dad a truck because I thought maybe, you'd finally see me as more than the family disappointment. That's not, Mom started. I'm not done. You uninvited a 6-year-old from Christmas. A 6-year-old who made you cards, who practiced saying Merry Christmas clearly because he wanted to make you proud. You chose strangers, paid strangers, over your own grandchild. We didn't know about David's situation, Mom said weakly, but you knew about us. You knew Tyler and I were sitting home while you celebrated your refined Christmas. You made that choice. So what do you want? Dad asked. What will it take? Here are my terms, non-negotiable. 1. You apologize to Tyler, in person. Explain why you didn't want him at Christmas. 2. Brittany gets a real job. No more sugar daddy shopping. 3. You tell everyone at your country club the truth about David and his daughters. 4. You pay me back for my tires and paint. $1,200. 5. Family dinner, once a month. At my apartment. You eat what I cook. You play with Tyler? And you act like actual grandparents. That's blackmail. No, Mom. Blackmail would be sending the country club board the text between David and Amber discussing prices. This is called consequences. Long pause. Whispered argument in the background. If we do this, Dad finally said, will you co-sign for the truck? No. No? But I'll sell you the F-150. $27,000. Same as I paid. I don't have that kind of money. Better start saving then. I hear Brittany's Mercedes lease is pretty expensive. This is cruel, Michael. No, Dad. Cruel is telling a 6-year-old his grandparents don't want to see him. Cruel is destroying your son's car because he wouldn't give you a gift you didn't deserve. This ? This is justice. I hung up. Jake and I split a pizza, and I slept better than I had in months. They caved after 3 days. Thursday night, they showed up at my apartment. All 3 of them. Dad in jeans, first time I'd seen that in years. Mom carrying a casserole. Brittany looking like she'd been crying for days. Tyler opened the door. Grandma? Grandpa? Are you still sick? The look on my mom's face nearly broke me. Nearly. They came in, sat on my secondhand couch, ate my store-brand cookies. And one by one, they apologized. Dad went first. Awkward and stilted, but genuine. Told Tyler he was sorry for missing Christmas. That it wasn't Tyler's fault. That Grandpa made a mistake. Mom cried, hugged Tyler until he squirmed away. Promised to come to all his t-ball games. Brittany mumbled something about being sorry and showed me a Target application. It's a start. They played Nerf Wars with Tyler for an hour. Dad let him win every time. Mom read him 3 stories before bed. Even Brittany helped him brush his teeth. As they were leaving, Dad stopped at the door. The truck? Get your transmission fixed first. Then we'll talk. You really won't co-sign? Dad, I love you. But I don't trust you. Earn it back, and maybe we can work something out. He nodded. Looked older than I'd ever seen him. That's fair. Mom hugged me. First real hug in years. We really are sorry, Michael. I know, Ma, just do better. Tyler deserves grandparents who are proud of him. And maybe I deserve parents who are proud of me too. Brittany, who'd been quiet all night, finally spoke up. David dumped me. I know. I'm 26 and I have nothing. You have a family, if you want it. But no more games, Britt. Get your life together. For real this time. She nodded, teared up a little, then followed our parents out. It's been 6 months since that Christmas disaster. 6 months of rebuilding. 6 months of change. They've kept their word. Every promise, every condition. Mom and Dad come for dinner twice a month now. We compromised. They eat my spaghetti, play whatever game Tyler's obsessed with, and slowly, we're becoming something resembling a family. Dad paid me back for the tires. Took him 2 months, but he did it. Even apologized again, unprompted, while handing me the cash. Brittany got the Target job. Complains about it constantly, but shows up every shift. She's assistant manager now, which she'll tell anyone who listens. She's also dating a normal guy, Jake's cousin actually. Dude's an electrician, drives a 10-year-old pickup, and treats her like gold. It's weird seeing her happy without designer purses. The country club thing was brutal for my parents. Dad had to send an email to the board explaining the misunderstanding about David's daughters. They lost some friends, kept others. Mom says it was humiliating, but necessary. We needed a wake-up call, she told me last month. Tyler's thriving. He calls them Grandma and Grandpa now without hesitation. Dad taught him to throw a baseball. Mom comes to every T-ball game with a cooler full of snacks for the whole team. They even babysit sometimes so I can work overtime or just have a night to myself. The F-150 still sits in my driveway. Dad looks at it sometimes when he drops by, but doesn't ask anymore. His old truck's still running after Tony fixed it. Barely, but it moves. Last week, something happened that made me think. Tyler and I were at the park when he fell off the monkey bars. Nothing serious, just a scraped knee, but he was crying pretty hard. I was cleaning him up when my phone rang. It was Dad. Everything okay? I drove by the park and saw Tyler crying. He's fine, just a scrape. You need anything? I can bring Band-Aids, ice cream, whatever helps. We're good, Dad. But thanks. Okay. Tell him Grandpa says he's tough. See you Sunday for dinner? Yeah, we'll be there. After I hung up, Tyler looked at me with those big eyes. Grandpa was worried about me? Yeah, buddy, he was. That's nice. I like when Grandpa worries about me. That night, after Tyler was asleep, I made a decision. This Sunday, Father's Day, I'm giving Dad the keys to the F-150. Not selling it, giving it. He's earned it. Not with money or apologies, but with time, with effort, with genuine change. Jake thinks I'm going soft. Maybe I am. But sometimes family isn't about keeping score or getting revenge. Sometimes it's about knowing when to let go of the anger and grab onto something better. My parents aren't perfect. Neither am I. But we're trying. And that's more than we had before. The truck's sitting outside right now, detailed and ready. I already put the bow on it. Tyler helped. It's crooked and too small, but it's perfect. He's so excited he can barely contain himself. Do you think Grandpa will cry? He asked me tonight. Maybe, I said. Happy tears, though. Good. Grandpa deserves happy tears. He's right. We all do. Update. Since some of you asked, yes, Dad cried. Like a baby. Mom cried. I may have gotten something in my eye. Tyler declared it the best day ever and asked if we could have Christmas at our apartment again because it's more fun here. Out of the mouths of babes, right? Brittany's still with the electrician. They're talking about moving in together. She drives a Honda Civic now and seems genuinely happy. Life's good, Reddit. Life's good.